PLISSIT. Plicit. That's the framework we're going to be working with, and the first step in that framework is a step called permission giving. Permission giving is so incredibly important when working with young people, because without permission you can actually cause some real damage. Unless a young person is willing to talk about that topic, you can actually create more stigma, more pressure, more uncomfortability around that issue. So with sexuality, it may be that young people stay quiet because they're nervous, not because they don't have questions. So to push on them actually drives those questions further inside and further away from actually having a great conversation. We want to be really wary of rushing the process, and so forcing a young person to be at a point where they're not comfortable to enter yet, meaning if they haven't brought it up, they might not be comfortable. And also to say that a young person, when they do bring up an issue of sexuality, generally the first question they're asking may not be the most important. Meaning maybe they're just throwing something at you to test you to see how are you going to respond in this situation. Are you going to be comfortable? Are you going to be normal? Are you going to make them feel uncomfortable and weird and a freak? Or are you going to respond with a mature perspective that says, let's have a healthy conversation? You also want to you also want to be wary of confusing agreeability with permission giving. What that means is that if a young person agrees to have a conversation with you, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're comfortable or willing to have that conversation. And so how well do you know that young person? Have you built rapport with that young person? Do you honestly believe that that young person is wanting to have that conversation with you, or are they too nervous or too uncomfortable to suggest that they're not at that place yet? Also, be wary of what you're allowed to do. Meaning you're employed by a service that has a structure, that has policies, that has values, that has a mandate, and they've dealt with this issue before. So what are you allowed to say? What would would you be comfortable going to your boss and saying, I had this conversation, is this part of who we are? And also confidentiality and child protection. When you're having a conversation, as we all know, child safe training teaches us that we need to inform the young person that they may tell us something that we'll need to report to the police. That's a reality of what we have to do, and sometimes that can create some more distance with the young person, but ultimately child protection is our first priority in working with a young person. Protect them and support them.